Hey, I'm Anderson Cooper. As a parent, you want to make sure that your child knows how to deal with bullying when they see it happening. And chances are they want to help, but they don't really know how. Well, teach them that the best thing to do is calmly walk away, find a teacher or other adult, and speak up. And do your part. Be that adult they can talk to and trust will listen. Join me to help stop bullying. Go to stopbullying.gov to find out more.
Here we are on, there's an echo, on National Coming Out Day. Happy Coming Out Day. My name is Phyllis Harris. I'm the Executive Director of the LGBT Community Center of Greater Cleveland, and I'm here this evening to welcome you. Thank you for joining us this evening. On behalf of the LGBT Community Center of Greater Cleveland's Board of Directors, our staff, our interns, our volunteers, we're pleased to be able to welcome you this evening. In acknowledgement and celebration of our amazing LGBTQ plus community members. So thank you for being here tonight. Today marks our 9th annual Cleveland LGBT Heritage Day celebration, and we're very proud to be able to host it here with our partners, the City of Cleveland, in the beautiful rotunda of Cleveland City Hall. That's a lot. That's a lot of C's. So here we are in the rotunda of Cleveland City Hall, acknowledging LGBTQ community members who really have done great work in being committed to serving our community in a number of ways that you're going to hear about tonight. As you know, the center is the heart of the region's LGBT community. We serve as a one-stop hub that provides a visible and welcoming safe space, high-quality programs and services, dedicated community advocacy and activism, social events like this where we get to honor and celebrate LGBTQ community members. And while we know that the work of the center is needed now more than ever, we also know that we can't do it alone. So we actually count on individuals engaging in the community and doing the good work that you're going to hear about from these individuals this evening. The folks who will be recognized this evening have demonstrated an ongoing commitment to the LGBT community as out community members and have made significant contributions via advocacy, activism, health and wellness, direct service, arts and culture, and workplace inclusion. I am very proud, I'm so proud actually, to be among them tonight to give this recognition. There are folks who I've known since I came out when I was 19. Sally Tatnall is here, Chris France is here. A lot of folks who knew me when I didn't talk and know that I don't like to talk in front of folks are here and have really been mentors or role models in my life. And so it's great to be here, to be among you all the awardees this evening. I'd like to now introduce you to my colleague and MC for the evening. She's so much better at it than I am. The LGBT Center Director of Programs, Eris Edie. Thank you for being with us.
Good evening, everybody. How's it going? So if you don't know me, if you've never seen me in this particular capacity, I will tell you that you are in for a treat. Not really a treat, but maybe you should be afraid. I'm kidding. But I'm excited to be here to host for our Heritage Day. I just want to first and foremost just thank Ryan Clapton-Zimler for all of your work. This could not have happened without you, so we're grateful, and I know he is hating that. That wasn't in my notes. So National Coming Out Day is celebrated annually on October 11th and is an internationally observed day of LGBT awareness. Associated events celebrate the power of coming out as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, ally, and more. To celebrate National Coming Out Day and the strength of Cleveland's LGBT community, the City of Cleveland, the LGBT Community Center of Greater Cleveland, we're going to recognize our honorees. So before we get started, can we just honor all our nominees and all of our nominations that have come in for this year? Before we get started, I would love to recognize our distinguished guests. First and foremost, Mayor Jackson, in his absence, he was here a little bit earlier. I want to recognize Representative Nikki Antonio for being here. From the Cleveland Community Police Commission, we have Commissioner Mario Clopton-Zimler here. Sorry, I said Ryan, I'm so used to saying your name. We also have Council President Kevin Kelly is here. We have Commander Deidre Jones here. And we also have Councilman Kevin Kelly. No, I already said Kevin Kelly, sorry. We can clap for you again if you want. Do you need additional applause? I'm kidding. We also have council person, my notes are all over the place, I apologize. Carrie McCormick, I apologize. And we rehearsed this. And so next, to introduce our council president, I'm going to bring to the stage council person McCormick. Come on up.
Well, thank you, and good evening and welcome to Cleveland City Hall. My name is Carrie McCormick, and I have the privilege of serving the people of Ward 3 on Cleveland City Council, which consists of downtown Cleveland, Ohio City, Tremont, and the Stockyards neighborhood. You know, I proudly serve on Cleveland City Council as an openly gay man, and my partner and I live in Ohio City, just over the river. And I will tell you that we are blessed to have a wonderful community, supportive friends and family here in our community. But we all know very, very, very well that that is not the case for many, many of our friends and our sisters and our brothers and our community members. And so the reason that I'm able to stand in front of you today, and the reason that I'm able to live with my partner in a supportive community, is because of the trail that people have blazed ahead of me. And the 4 folks and the 5 total that are with us tonight have been leaders in blazing that trail to ensure a better future for everyone in our community. So if you could just get another round of applause. I will say, though, that through all of the hard work, there is still so much for our community to tackle, and we have to make sure that we don't let up. Whether it's transphobia, racism, homophobia, sexism, you name it, it's out there and it's nasty. So our community cannot let up. We've got to work together so that moving forward, we create an even better future for everyone in our community. I will tell you that when I joined council a year and a half ago, it was right towards the tail end of the fight for 1446 to ensure that the city of Cleveland had a codified ordinance that protected all people, including our trans community members. And as I was coming on to that, into that conversation, I was proud for it to be one of the first initiatives that I supported on council, or else my constituents would have definitely not had me back. But through that process, there was real great leadership here at City Hall. Mayor Jackson, through his process in educating the community and supporting that ordinance to ensure that our trans brothers and sisters were protected, but another person that was operating every single day to ensure that that ordinance was successful, to ensure that his fellow council people were educated and on board in supporting that legislation, as well as many other pieces of legislation protecting our community, was Council President Kevin Kelly. So I am proud to work with Council President Kelly. He has been a supporter and an advocate for our community, both in the community, but also he's put his money where his mouth is when it comes to legislation supporting our community. So it is my honor to introduce Council President Kevin Kelly.
Thank you, Carrie. It's an honor to be here today. And on behalf of my Carrie and our 15 other colleagues, we want to say welcome to City Hall. And we all stand together proud of the progress that we've made together. And as I reflected on this evening and what I might say, the past years we've had a few big milestones. Carrie mentioned 1446, which I might add, Carrie came in after that had been around for a while, but he was instrumental in really bringing it through the last mile. There was a couple little technicalities we were stuck on in terms of penalty phases and civil and criminal, and Carrie was able to really kind of cut through the nonsense and just focus on what the issue was. So last year we had 1446 thanks to Carrie and my other colleagues and the mayor. The year before that we had marriage equality, and so looking back on years past, I was like, so what about this year? And then it really just kind of struck me that as the community moves forward, we don't just judge ourselves on the milestone, but it's all the fight that goes into making those milestones happen. And as I stand before here today, we stand in a city, in a county, in a country where you can still be terminated from your employment based on who you love. So while we've made progress, there's a lot to go. And while we have milestones, we are always fighting for the next milestone. And I just want to let you know that your city government stands with you, and we're here to recognize those people that do the hard work to make the milestones happen. And I'm proud, in addition to the awards that we have, I want to make sure that I'm going to present this proclamation that the mayor had drawn up, and it's from the city of Cleveland, and it's for Phyllis Harris for all the work that she's done in making those milestones happen. And you all know better than I do the hard work that Phyllis does and her accomplishments over the year. But trust me, from where I sit on city council and just observing how things happen, buildings don't just happen. Movements don't just happen. Keeping people unified, keeping advocacy together, it doesn't just happen. It takes leadership. It takes hard work. It takes keeping a coalition together, which might seem easy, but it never is. And Phyllis has been terrific at that, and we are all the beneficiaries of her hard work. And I'm grateful to be in this community and serve with her in a different capacity, but to call her a friend and a friend of City Council and a friend of the City of Cleveland. So Phyllis, congratulations. Okay. And with that, I believe may I please introduce? Okay. Another friend of all of ours is State Representative Nikki Antonio, who has been with us, been advocating for the LGBT community long before it became fashionable to do so. She was doing it, back in the day, back before we had marriage equality, back before we had transgender equality, and really kind of serves as an example for those of us that are proud to call her a friend and to kind of work with her, different capacities, but towards the same goal. So, Nikki?
Good evening. How are you? We're here. We're queer. Get used to it, right? Some of you in this room remember standing out there and saying that. Some of the people who said that with us are no longer with us. But all of us stand on their shoulders. All of us do our part. I was asked once when I was serving on city council, somebody asked me from the LGBTQ community, they said, okay, well, you're on city council, but what have you done? What have you done for us? What's that song? What have you done for me lately? And I thought a minute and I started rattling off things I was working on. We were working to expand protections in the city of Lakewood. There was a lot of education we were doing. We had introduced some ordinances. But then I stopped and I said, you know what? Here's what I've done. I show up. At the time I said my big old gay self. I'm getting shorter, so my gay old self. I show up. I show up as my authentic self. I sit in that seat on the dais in city council. I am in the community as who I am. I talk about my family. I'm with my family. I, like thousands of other people, thousands of other members of the LGBTQ community, we show up. And every day that we show up as our authentic selves is an act of courage. And right now in this country, some days it's an act of defiance. It is an act of saying, I will not go back. There is not a closet anywhere that will hold us all. We're not going back. We're only moving forward. And so days like this, when we're able to congratulate and to acknowledge the work of some of the people in our community that show up and that do the work, at the same time, every single one of you, every single person from the LGBTQ community, every person who's an ally and a supporter, moves us closer to the day when we truly do have equality, when liberty and justice for all applies to us all. I am so happy to be with you tonight. Thank you.
So we are ready to get into the awards. I'm going to begin by reading a definition of the award, and then the next person I will welcome will be the nominee, the nominator, who will introduce the awardee. So beginning with our Arts and Culture Award. The Award for Arts and Culture honors an individual who has contributed significantly to the creation or the preservation of LGBT culture and heritage. An honoree is a member of the LGBT community who uses their talents to increase the visibility of LGBT people while demonstrating the impact of creative contributions. The recipient of this award should demonstrate a love of culture and art, as well as a devotion to sharing this love with the community. And we're thinking musicians, sculptors, writers, painters, and etc. So to honor this person, who is Luz Nareda Payo, can we give them a round of applause? Their award will be presented by Stami Hall.
So I'm really proud to have the opportunity to introduce my best friend, my advisor, and my partner, Luz Nareda Payo. Third one over here. As the 2017 LGBTQ Heritage Day Arts and Culture Award recipient, I've known Luz for more than 16 years, and it's been wonderful watching her grow as a contributing member of our community and become the woman that she is today. A strong, confident, Latin, LGBTQ woman of color who makes positive impressions on everyone and everything that she comes into play. Luz deserves this recognition in so many ways, volunteering selflessly in various roles of leadership, laborer, marketer, confidant, role model, and showing us all not only is it important to lead from the front, but also to help those rise from the back. On a personal note, I want to thank Luz for showing me and exposing me to a world of beautiful color, a world of Latin culture, and a world of love. Ladies and gentlemen, please do announce or present Luz Nareda Payo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Wow. Okay. First, I'd like to thank Stami for that lovely introduction and submitting my name for this award. I would also like to thank the City of Cleveland,
the Cleveland Community Relations Board, and the LGBTQ Community Center of Greater Cleveland for recognizing my volunteer services. Thank you. Something many of you may not know about me is that I'm a proud Puerto Rican American LGBTQ woman. My family's originally from Puerto Rico. I'm the first generation American and the third of 5 girls. It's important for me to stress that though my parents are immigrants, they are still American citizens. I grew up in a small community where we were the first Latinos in school, which was really no big deal, for me and my sisters. But it was an eye-opener for the school system. For us, there was the effort of learning a new language, and for the school teachers, they were struggling with communicating with my mom. It was a delicate balance for me to adopt a new way of life, yet not be stripped of my native language and culture. My parents always wanted their children to be educated. However, being able to afford any of us the option of higher education was a different challenge. I am the first one of my immediate family to receive a college education, putting myself through college, but my parents also contributed as much as they can when they could. Because of my background and where I come from, this made me feel a tremendous responsibility to pave the way for those after me, for women of color, for the Latin community, and for the LGBTQ community as well. I've been fortunate to have been able to achieve many of these accomplishments, but I couldn't have done so without the sacrifices my parents have made along the way. My family accepted me as a member of the LGBTQ community without hesitation, and from day one, they embraced Tommy as a member of our family. I'm very fortunate that I'm out to my family, my friends, and my workplace. I know that not everyone has had the opportunities that I have had when it comes to being their authentic self. Therefore, my family and my heritage are very strong components of who I am. My involvement with the community started back in 2008 when I co-founded WH2, the Women's Happy Hour, which is a social networking group. And based on this success, this organization was well received within the LGBTQ community. And this catapulted me to become engaged with other organizations. Organizations such as the Human Rights Campaign, Plexus, Graffiti Heart, North Coast Men's Chorus, PFLAG, and Gay Games 9, just to name a few. The reason why I do this is because there is a need and because I can. I'm a strong woman. I'm a working professional. I leverage my skills to mentor people, coach others, and use my ability as an outgoing person to bring others on board and make them feel welcomed. Those who fought before us has provided us freedoms and platform to do good work, and that's where I feel the need to take that baton. It's now my turn to engage, to lead, to fight for a better tomorrow and make a difference where I can, even if it's one person at a time. I've supported the Human Rights Campaign for many years and had an opportunity to become a member of the HRC Cleveland Steering Committee. My first volunteer role for HRC was as a tri-chair for their biggest annual fundraiser, the HRC Cleveland Gala, which I did for 3 years. I learned that I was the first person of color to chair the Cleveland Gala. And realizing that gave me a sense that, geez, I'm representing people of color at that gala and that main stage, which was quite an honor. Now I serve as diversity and inclusion strategist. This is a new role for me and one that I can more broadly make an impact. In addition to HRC, I also serve on the board of Plexus as their events chair, where I use my LGBTQ and ally resources to help grow networks and introduce the LGBTQ business owners to the Plexus's business certification service. I attend PFLAG meetings where I can tell my story to those families who struggle with their child's sexual orientation, to let them know that their child will be okay, much like myself, that they can be contributing members of society, be educated, be employed, build their own families, and have many friends. Basically, I hope that they realize that their child can live a much fulfilled life. Last page, please. Through my volunteerism, I was introduced to a fine group of people that I may never have known if it wasn't for that Serena. And that's what I get from this, knowing that I can help, that I can do something, that I have done something, not just for me, but for a group of citizens that are just asking to have the same rights, nothing more, nothing less. You have no idea how hard it's been since Hurricane Maria devastated the Caribbean. This is the first time in my adulthood that I felt completely helpless, being so limited to do what I can do to help, not being able to reach out to my family at any given time, not to know if they've survived, or how are they surviving the aftermath. And I mention this because I'm a person who strives to do better, to help others, and in this position that I am not familiar with and by no means comfortable with. But I look at it this way. It's a reminder that there are additional avenues for me to contribute to that brings me full circle as a proud Puerto Rican woman of the LGBT community. Muchísimas gracias a todos.
Next, for our award for health and wellness, the Award for Health and Wellness honors an individual for impactful accomplishments in the fields of healthcare, health education, and social services. An honoree may be an LGBT healthcare professional, care coordinator, or counselor whose work displays a commitment to the community by tackling disparities and service delivery to LGBT consumers. Through their exceptional skills and expertise, this honoree addresses the challenges faced by the LGBT community in the realms of health and wellness. This includes doctors, helping professionals, non-traditional wellness providers, and therapists. To introduce our awardee, we welcome Representative Nikki Antonio.
So the honoree for this award, the LGBT Health and Wellness Award, is Sally Tatnall. Sally Tatnall has contributed greatly to the greater Cleveland community with regard to being a part of the founding of Neighborhood Family Practice, which used the community health centers model, removing the barriers of economics and access to low-income and middle-class people on the near west side of Cleveland. They exist today. In fact, they actually have 3 centers, I think, satellite offices. The organization initially was non-hierarchical and used feminist principles in its inception to be open, welcoming, and affirming to all who entered the doors. The offerings were critical to providing women's comprehensive reproductive services of prevention, birth control, cancer screenings for all women and their families. Sally was also part of a group prior to that called Cleveland Women's Counseling, and this group was the precursor to the organization that we now know as Preterm, whose mission was safe and comprehensive abortion care, whose mission today is providing safe and comprehensive abortion care. While always a strong voice for women's autonomy and independent agency, Sally was also is a leader in lesbian feminist communities. She was the leader in the 80s and the 90s forward to today. The health services provided by Neighborhood Family Practice were groundbreaking at the inception because they were offered by female doctors who embraced those feminist principles as well, included patients on the board. In the 80s, this was a new idea, and all in a non-judgmental way. The services were provided to all, including lesbians who were underserved, invisible, and experienced many health risks. They experienced these due to stigma, discrimination, and the fear of recrimination. Tens of thousands of people found their way to health maintenance and had an access to health practitioners that were otherwise would not have been available to them. Many healthy babies were born as a result of the prenatal care offered, immunizations, and STDs were diagnosed and treated with prevention information, which was provided in both English and Spanish long before it became de rigueur as it is today. In many ways, they were so ahead of their time on how to serve traditionally underserved populations, including members of the LGBTQ community. I nominated her, because while now retired, she's been a relentless big fighter for most of her life to stand up and advocate for equality and autonomy for women and their families. She's been a thought leader in communities of lesbians and continues to encourage dialogue and analysis of what it means to be part of the LGBTQ community through her work individually and also as a member of OLAC, Old Lesbians Organizing for Change. It's important to honor and thank our elders, such as Sally Tatnall, who have lived and contributed so much to the tapestry of our unique LGBTQ community and on whose shoulders we stand so much taller. Congratulations, Sally.
As a member of OLAC, we always say our age. I am 80 years old. The body. The body is our most important asset, and it's incumbent on each one of us to make sure that all of our organizations, our institutions, and our laws do not take away what we need for our body. There are a lot of laws that would like to restrain us, control us. There are a lot of medical institutions that would like to tell us what we need for our body, how we should behave for our body. There are many, many, many insurance companies who tell us what our body is for, how we should treat it, and it is incumbent on each one of us to stand very clearly for our body. There's nothing else that we can do that will be any better. I do want to, having said that, I want to thank Phyllis. I have been privileged to know Phyllis for some time, and I'm so proud of how she has brought the LGBT Center into a really visible thing. I want to thank Nikki for taking the risk. Anymore, I guess it's not a risk, for nominating me. I want to thank Chrissy Franz, if you would just stand up for just a second, Chris. She is the current director of Preterm, and through her guidance we maintain the feminist principles that say every woman is worth something. And when she comes to Preterm, she will feel how important that worth is. I want to go back, though, and it's lots of years. When I was the director at Neighborhood Family Practice, the medical director decided that I would be the one to interview new doctors and nurse practitioners coming into the practice to make sure they had their heads on straight. Well, not straight, but you know what I mean. So it was my pleasure to actually ask them how they felt about LGBT people, how they felt about poor, how they felt about the homeless. And if there was any crack in their presentation, they really weren't right for Neighborhood Family Practice. We were a long-standing, at that time, this was in the 80s and 90s, and it wasn't something that was taken for granted. So it was very important for me and the providers at Neighborhood to understand the clientele that they would be dealing with. One of my favorite stories, and this is about impressions and expectations. A woman came in, as she is a family nurse practitioner, and you know how she had this red cheeks and blue eyeshadow and all this blonde hair and red lipstick. And in the 80s and 90s, it was like, oh, isn't this interesting? And she was also the wife of a minister. So I was kind of, okay, let's talk about this. And I want to tell you, she turned out to be one of the most phenomenal women's health people I have ever met. The lesbians from the Cleveland area just flocked to her because they knew that they would get excellent care. So thank you very much for this award. I really am very touched. Thank you.
Please, can we give Sally one more round of applause? I have the esteemed honor of sitting on the board of preterm, and so I am just thrilled to just be in your presence, and just thank you so much for the work and the commitment that you've contributed to the city of Cleveland. Thank you. All right. The next award we have is our award for public service. The Public Service Award honors an individual who has made significant contributions to the livelihood and vitality of Cleveland and its LGBT community. An honoree is a member of the LGBT community who might be the quintessential good neighbor, team member, representative, or volunteer. This person gives their time, guidance, and assistance to improve the community through promotion of LGBT visibility and issues. And so we're thinking teachers, faith leaders, volunteers, and public officials. The reason I keep telling you all the different titles that this award falls under is because we're going to do this again next year. And so I want you all to be thinking about these wonderful LGBT and queer folks in your lives who might be a great person to nominate. With that being said, let's bring up Nikki Lianza to introduce our next awardee.
Hello, happy coming out day. I am so excited to be here. I'm here to introduce to you Maria Shin, and let me say that when I received the email from the LGBT Center about nominating for Heritage Award, it was a no-brainer. It's like, Maria Shin, of course. And I'm privileged to say that Maria and I have been friends for many years, and our children have grown up together. And so after I received that email, and I'm like, yes, Maria. And so what I did was I forwarded it to my wife, who is the doer, and I'm the dreamer. And so she went right to it and put up the lovely nomination. And unfortunately, she was the one who was supposed to actually be up here to nominate Maria, but she wasn't able to make it. So I am very glad to be here. And so let me tell you this. Let me just share with you, talking about service, my gosh, let me tell you just a smidgen of some of the things that Maria has done and why we felt very strongly to nominate her. Gosh, I had to write them down because I was afraid I wasn't going to remember them all. But first and foremost, she's an amazing attorney, and she tirelessly works for working with families, LGBT families, and protecting those families. And she's amazing and very much a trailblazer in that respect. And on top of her work as an attorney, she also is a tireless volunteer. She is on the board of the LGBT Center. She, I know, has volunteered for various places. One place that I want to make note of is volunteers for the Visiting Nurses Association and provides free seminars there, as well as hospice consulting and things like that for the patients, which is just so amazing. She's also a very loving wife and mother of 2 children, and my children are like best friends with her children, which is so lovely. And on top of like all the number of things that she does, She's also a foster parent to stray kittens, where in all her time, which is the little time she has, she and her family will actually take in kittens to foster and nurture so they can be adopted out. So, which I think that one thing alone is amazing, let alone everything else that she does. So let me say I'm very privileged to be here. And again, we'd like to present to you Maria Shin.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming tonight. I just jotted down some notes so I try not to forget what I was going to say. I'm very shocked, honored, and humbled by this award. I didn't even know that I was nominated. I still consider myself just to be a girl from West Virginia. I wanted to congratulate all the other award winners and everyone who was nominated. And I wanted to thank, Jenny and Nikki for nominating me for this award. And Nikki, thank you for such a wonderful introduction. I also wanted to thank the LGBT Center, Phyllis Harris, the staff, the board, and all the volunteers, also the City of Cleveland, and everyone involved with this Heritage Day ceremony. Ryan, you did a great job. I'd also like to give a shout out to all the previous award winners, anyone that's ever been nominated, and really the biggest thank you to everyone in this room, everyone that has come before us, paved the way, worked in the trenches, and really put in the time and the service to help the LGBT community and advance our cause. Really, without you, I wouldn't be here and the world would not be a better place. So I would like to give applause to everybody in this room and everyone who has helped in our community. And now I'd like to just finish with a quote from Maya Angelou. I'm convinced of this: good done anywhere is good done everywhere. For a change, start by speaking to people rather than walking by them like they're stones that don't matter. As long as you're breathing, it's never too late to do some good. And as long as I'm breathing, I will continue to try to do some good, and I encourage you to do so as well. Thank you very much.
Awesome quote. All right. Next up for our award for workplace inclusion. The award for workplace inclusion, I'm sorry, I have to get this closer. I think I'm ready for readers. The award for workplace inclusion honors an individual who has committed to creating safe spaces for LGBT individuals in their workplaces. An honoree is a member of the LGBT community who uses their position to advocate for more inclusive policies, recognition of LGBT employees, and visibility for their community. The recipient of this award should demonstrate a commitment to advancing the movement of LGBT equality in professional settings. We're thinking establishing employee resource groups, policy advocacy, and diversity committees. So to introduce this awardee, we have Gail DeGeorge.
I'm Gail DeGeorge, and I'm a resident of the Detroit Shoreway neighborhood. I nominated Kathy Brown, who's provided a safe workspace for LGBTQ individuals for 24 years in the restaurant business. She started Snickers in 1984. Some of you might remember Snickers, I don't know, to 1998. And currently, Kathy owns Latitude 41 North, which she opened 10 years ago in 2007. So please welcome Kathy Brown and congratulate her.
I usually don't need a microphone, hence the workplace award. Congratulations to the fellow honorees. And thank you, Phyllis, and the center, Nikki, City of Cleveland. I really appreciate this. I feel old. I gotta tell you. I came out to Cleveland to go to college in the 70s and went back to the East Coast and came back out here to open Snickers in '84, and that's when the whole workplace diversity started for me. And a quick little story, and I hope some of you remember this. There was a trans woman named Mona Desmond, yeah, who has since passed away, but she was just a stalwart of the community, and she was my first hostess at Snickers. And I remember one night I came into the restaurant, and there she was sitting down with Ted Henry, who used to be a Channel 5 newscaster. And I saw that clicking, and they were both laughing and having a good time. And that's my story, where I've kind of tried to make this eclectic group of individuals in this city, even back in the mid-'80s, try and come together and break bread and appreciate and respect each other's diversity. And I have tried to do that in all my projects. I also taught for 5 years at a career center down in Brecksville, and it was great to work with the LGBT community there, although they really didn't want to consider themselves that at that point in time. But I was very out when I worked, and I taught culinary arts, and I was very out, and I let them have a safe place to come and talk about their future and their place in the work area. And I still keep in touch with quite a few of them, which is always a good feeling for me. Right now with Latitude, it's been 10 years, and my hiring has been gay, straight, trans. It's been fun, and it's fun to put people together and see how they mesh. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. And when they don't, they usually are on to something else, but 9 times out of 10 they do. And they fit, and they find out how to work, and people learn how to live together and work together. And it's been great, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I really wouldn't. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight and to be honored. I thank everyone that came here tonight, especially the people who came out to support me. I really appreciate it. I have actually someone here that used to cook for me at Snickers is here with her kid tonight. I mean, and that's a long time ago. So I forged some friendships, yeah, in this business. I have some everlasting friendships being able to do that. And also I need to thank my partner, my fiancée, Maura, who just makes me better and keeps me focused on the bottom line and what the end of the path looks like, and to keep going. And it's not, so much the end of the path, but it's the journey. And she keeps me on that journey, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
How are you all doing out there? Awesome. Give a round of applause for yourselves. It is beautiful to celebrate Coming Out Day, being out, and still just always in the back of my mind and heart thinking about those who have yet found the courage or the safety to be able to do so as well. So we have one last award, which is our Advocacy and Activism Award. The Award for Advocacy and Activism honors an individual for their outstanding commitment to affecting positive change. An honoree is a member of the LGBT community whose selfless acts have made Cleveland a better place, or Greater Cleveland, a better place for all to live. They recognize that making Cleveland a better place for LGBT people benefits everyone. This role model this person role models bold action, whether working at the grassroots level, the policy level, or somewhere in between. And so we're thinking community organizers, advocates, and policymakers. And so to accept the award for James Knapp on their behalf is Ryan Zimler, because James is not available to be here, and neither is the nomination person, who was Shane Morgan. And so we missed them. We're going to give them a round of applause in their honor and thank them for all of their amazing service. And I'm going to hand this award over to Ryan to accept on James's behalf. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm not going to say anything.
Okay. Yeah.
James is great. James is helping to coordinate our name change clinic that will be happening on October 25th. So thank you to James. Thank you to Trans Ohio. Thanks to James for all his work. Give him one more round of applause.
Thank you. So can we please just give one huge round of applause, standing ovation for all of our honorees this evening and our distinguished guests. Yes, photo bombing. You got it? I'll photo bomb you.
Do we need to sit down? Who's left? Who's left, everybody? There you go.
The paparazzi.
Yeah, I like it. This is what it feels like. All right. Not too bad. All right. So, in closing, I want to thank each of you all for attending this wonderful event. We want to give a special thanks to our selection committee, who included Ryan Crofton Zimler, Kristen Duvernay, Thomas Hahn, Bob Safara, and Darius Stubbs. We also like to give special thanks to Mayor Frank Jackson and the Cleveland City Council for their support and advocacy on the behalf of the LGBT community. Theasia Danley for her coordination and collaboration. Food and refreshments from Michelle Tamalo and Fit Technologies, Food for Thought, and Gypsy Bean and Baking Company. So thank you all so much. I also want to tell you about a few upcoming events. This Saturday is Trans in the CLE. It is a trans-centered, trans-focused all-day conference. It is the first of its kind in Cleveland. It is entitled Trans in the CLE. And so we are excited to celebrate and represent our trans and gender nonconforming Clevelanders. So please come and join us if you've registered. We also have 2 Tadas left to go. We also have our name change clinic coming on October 25th. We have our intergenerational storytelling event on December 6th. So be on the lookout for information about that. And of course, Trans Day of Remembrance. It's the Friday before the 20th, which is November 17th. And so we hope to see you at any and all of those events. Thank you all so much for coming, and have a wonderful evening. Please, I think there's still refreshments available. Good night.